Rooted in resilience, inspired by nature, powered by movement. The podcasts where healing meets empowerment. Let's rise and thrive together. And now, here are your hosts, Scott and Melissa.
Hey, everybody. We just wanted to pop in and let you know about our Sedona Soul Retreat coming up in June of 2026, June 2nd through the 6th in Sedona, Arizona. Where we're going to have it at?
The Briar Patch.
It's
Beautiful. It's just this amazing little nugget.
Yeah.
In Sedona, where you think the big red rocks, which you'll see those, of course, but then there's this little sanctuary of green. And one of my dear beings that just shared with me this morning that they will be attending, looked it up and was like, "Oh, that's my place."
Yeah.
They just like felt the connection, and it's very spiritual energy there, and we're excited for holding space for all of us to be in that frequency, that vibration.
It's right on Oak Creek, and we were down there just a few weeks ago checking it out to ensure it was the right fit for our folks. And we are excited about this retreat. It's our second retreat, and we're on our way to selling out. So please check it out at Vital Edge Wellness Coaching Wellness Retreats. You'll see it vitalwellnesscoaching.com, wellness retreats, and sign up. Bring a friend. There's plenty of room. If you'd like double occupancy, you can come down, and we have private cottages and a lodge setting. So that's it.
It's exciting.
Enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you there. All right, everyone. Welcome to Rise and Thrive podcast through Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. And this is Scott, and I am Melissa. And we're going to talk about stress and worry today. No.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to talk about stress and worry. That's a big topic, but we're excited to be with you on that. And Scott's going to lead us in a mindful moment so we can release a little stress right now. So
this topic is coming up organically for both of us. We just had a discussion around stress and worry in our own individual lives. And so this is a great topic for today, and every human being needs it. So before we talk about stress and worry, let's de-stress and de-worry a little. All right. Settle back into your chair. Feel the weight of the chair being your full support. Maybe close your eyes or lower your gaze. I like to turn my palms upward on my lap. And we're just going to focus on our breath for a few moments. We're going to count. I'm going to inhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top for a second and exhale to 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold at the bottom. And then follow your count for 4 in. Exhale. Relaxation happens on the exhale. Let it all out to the count of 6. Find your own rhythm. I'll watch the time. And on your next exhale, you can start to come back into your space. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes. Shoulder shrugs are one of my favorites. Welcome into the podcast. Stress and worry.
Stress and worry,
Yeah.
yes.
Just as a reminder of that.
Yes. So we know this will be an ongoing discussion because we come in and out of stress and worry. And I had this thought that, we all just assume everybody stresses and worries. And so our discussion went to, there's millions of tools to help support us in this. But what we wanted to bring up today is to start with the choice. And how do you worry? And when you worry, what is your patterns or habits that tend to happen? And so we want to explore that with you today, sharing some personal experience and how we've navigated it, and to offer you to walk away today with a pause, to notice when stuff starts to happen in life. Just give yourself a moment to reflect as, how am I reacting or responding to this? And to realize where that's where your power is, because we have a choice in that moment. To get ahead or to make things better doesn't mean we have to feel horrible and stress and worry about it. We often know that takes us down. So I want to open up that and let Scott continue, and I'll explore it.
Well, one of the things you and I talked about was, where does worry come from? What is it? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling? Is it both? Is it learned behavior? Is it part of who we are? Can we change it? These are really big questions that we don't tend to slow down enough to take a look at when we're doing our own self-awareness exercises. And I can speak for me that I have focused a lot on solving the worry. And I'm not a worried person. I'm a trusting person. I believe everything's happening for my highest and greatest good. But triggers come into your life that create that disconnect from what you believe is for your highest and greatest good, because it doesn't feel like it.
No.
When you're having financial problems, it doesn't feel like it. When you're having health issues, it doesn't feel like all this is coming up for my greatest good. When you're getting evicted, or you lose a job, or you lose a relationship of some kind, it doesn't feel good. But that's what creates worry. And most of my worry is inward focused. What did I screw up? How could I have done something better?
Yeah.
And I think my opinion is that's the worst kind of worry, because now I'm degrading myself. And I'm wondering what our listeners and our viewers use for their own tools to pull themselves back out of that cycle of self-degradation that worry creates. Because what you focus on expands, and what you feed the machine, it brings you back to the same thing.
Well, that's something that I actually had the experience with the individual this morning, is when you have, backing up for a moment, the first part we're talking about is like, just, you've got to observe, how do you respond? Because that's when we know we can make some changes there if we need to, right? If we just get swept up in it and we think, oh, this is just how life is, right? We're supposed to worry, stress. And I had this discussion with the individual this morning that when you have one worried thought, that worried thought has a frequency. And this is a neurobiology here for a moment. It will grab onto the same frequency of thought and add on to it. And that's why we often get stuck, right? We get in that spiral of worry, going to sleep with the head spinning and worry, and then waking up and worrying, and it's adding to it. And we have that, like I said, that power. I want to inspire people to like, okay, let's become aware of how I worry or stress. And then I'm going to be with it and realize, I have a choice here. So the discussion I had with those individuals this morning is literally, we changed the frequency, the thought. We started focusing all the things that were positive or heading towards this outcome that was stressful, was coming from that experience, right? When you think it's your greatest and highest good, and it's not, doesn't mean it always has to be a touchy-feely happy thing. We often have experiences where a negative thing took us in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I got a whole list.
So this individual, we talked about that, and we talked about how, again, the frequency, like when we focus on the good that we're seeing there and the positive, that not degrading ourselves, not going into that frequency, guess what? That positive, that more higher energy frequency starts to grab another one of those. And I literally watched this individual. I was in a training session with her, physical training session, and watched just the shift of her body and the energy behind her movements and her capacity just shift. And that was all through thought. And so I want to just inspire us that, like Scott said, where did worry come from? And I used to say this, and it comes up occasionally. I love my dad, a very close relationship with my dad. And I always remember sharing, like, I learned from my dad. My dad would worry about worrying. And I grew up with that. And I took that on, and I was following that path. Something in my path came along to start exposing me to mindfulness and exposing me to, yoga and meditation and
different frequencies.
There you go. And I was able I'm just going to say this. It's coming out of my mouth. Save myself. Because I was going down a dark hole. I was getting overconsumed, and I remember my parents getting worried. I was staying up half the night to get homework done. I was obsessing on stuff. I was starting to head into that. And I started to grab onto. I remember at a young age starting making positive statements, starting to retrain my brain, and I didn't even know what I was doing. So I thank the universe for that guidance. And now, I was talking to Scott, like we have moments happening in our lives right now that are stressful, and they're coming up. And because of my practices, I could worry. I am a little bit, right? Those patterns are still in me. And I'm like looking at, and I'm stepping back to observe, because no one said I have to do this. No one said I have to feel bad in order to get better or make things work. So I'm like questioning right now. I'm looking at like, okay, I'm feeling this worry come up and this stress, but I have an opportunity to look at it differently, change the frequency, and I can choose another. So I know that was a lot there, but I'm sharing what's coming up.
Well, there's a famous saying that says worry is taking poison and expecting the other person to feel ill. And that's true. You don't have to embody the worry, but we do. It's easy to do. It's a human condition. I think for me, I let the worry hit me as kind of a first wave, and I let it kind of settle. And then when the next wave comes, I go, well, wait a minute. I don't know if that's really helping me move forward in the situation. And then it's a little less worry. And then the third wave hits, and I'm in solution mode. I'm in solve mode. Okay, so if I don't want worry to take over, then I need to change my frequency. You said a few things in your example about frequency, practices, body movement, right? Mm-hmm. And body movement cannot be discounted in this conversation. If you're a runner, you know what I'm talking about.
It changes frequency.
I need to blow the cobwebs out. Right? I used to box, and so I would go down and hit the heavy bag in my worry because it would get that out of me.
Well, this is for our first responders too. I mean, it's often given, you got to go, our therapists, all the people receiving and hearing a lot of the stress and worry, you got to go help the body run it off. And so, yes, you just nailed it right there. That
the body and the mind are not disconnected, which brings me to the chakras.
The body keeps score. Mm-hmm.
So my worry, the general kind of ebb and flow worries in my life tend to end up in the root chakra, which is a safety and security place. It's not going to be like that for everybody. It could be maybe your voice isn't heard, it'll be in your throat chakra, which has happened to me too. The sacral chakra is where your power source is. So it depends on a lot of things. But for me, it generally tends to be my root chakra. So when my practice, if I find myself in worry, I'll generally focus on ways to clear out that chakra and exercise and grounding, right? However, I say all this, and it is really hard when you're worried to stick to your practices. It's really easy to get...
Because that frequency pulls you in with all the others.
It definitely, it's like a tractor beam.
And if you don't understand, if you're not familiar with the frequencies, don't worry. Not frequencies, excuse me, the chakras. Don't worry about that. Stick with us. And
you'll learn more.
We'll expose you to it. And it's very connected with the systems of your body. It's not just I wanted to point to my chakra poster that's sometimes up.
That's a different studio.
A different studio. But those are the energy systems in your body, and they accumulate those emotions and those frequencies, and your body needs to process it. I mean, it's an easy way to kind of think of it that way. And so when Scott talks about grounding or running, that's helping your body process that worry that went through, grab something else, and not have it build up in pain or emotional pain that's showing up. So I think foundationally, we're looking at helping people look at first, as you're hanging out, listening to us right now, driving a car or watching us. How do you respond? How have you respond? Are you having stress right now? Are you having worries right now?
Yeah. And I think that a huge part of this conversation is It's most likely a learned behavior, as you described from your dad. And my mom is a worrier. We've had these conversations for years. At 81 years old, though, she's worried less than she's ever been worried in her life. She's figured it out that she still has worries for her boys and their best and all the things that she did worry about, but she's less worried because she's realized that's where her freedom is. It is a choice. And you have to be able to, I'm a coach, so I'm all about present moment, growing to the future. There is some value, however, in being in the past and looking at where the worry came from, recognizing it, and then coming back to the present moment to decide how you want that to be different today. Because knowing where it comes from empowers you. It can empower you to make the shifts you need for the right frequency, the right practices. And like you said, you didn't feel like when you were practicing, you was doing anything. You're just like, I just know I need to do this. And over time, it made a difference, right?
Right. And I just say, I'm seriously talking about an experience earlier today. Worry encroached with some thoughts. And I just felt a pause. I'm like, I have 3 ways I can look at this. And I'm finding as I practice more that, and I say practice is meaning the pause and being able to offer myself a moment to decide. And I'm realizing I get to choose how I want to feel, and I want to feel those other frequencies. It doesn't mean I'm going to, sit on my hind end and twiddle my thumbs and hope I will continue to move forward.
It leads to action, right?
It leads action. And I want to choose it to be positive action and feel good action, not out of, if I worry about this, it's going to make it better. We get to choose whether we do it happy, whether we do it in a state of worry. And I think that's, like you said, your mom's feeling that empowered, like when I see that wave come up, because she still worries, but now she sees it and she's like, she's doing breathing exercise. She's doing things that she knows she can help her body, because our body has a memory of those patterns of worry. And I even think about just worry about my kids, right? I'm good at that. And it's like, all right. I even had a moment the other day, like, she's going to be fine. She's a big girl. And I was like, my worry isn't helping her, isn't helping me. And so I want to encourage you, like I said, just to be with us, keep watching, keep hanging with us, and know this is a journey we're all on, that we can actually live and thrive and feel good. When those moments hit, we can make a choice.
I'm coming back to one of our first conversations about Vital Edge Wellness Coaching and Rise and Thrive podcast. We didn't have names for these things yet, but we talked about how we help people with worry, stress. In these politically charged times, there's changing of worlds happening in front of our eyes. And we feel helpless as individuals in doing something about it. And how can we come with our skill sets and our love of what we do and help alleviate some of that pressure and teach and guide and support and coach? And I'm coming back, all of a sudden it just clicked with me that one of our first conversations was people need relief from their worry. And how do we help with that? And I think that it's a learned behavior, but you can unlearn things, right? I learned algebra. I've never used it. I don't need it. You learn to worry. Do you need it as often as you do?
I like that.
Right?
I like that. Yeah.
But we have to you said it earlier, we have to make that choice.
Well, and we get to choose. We get to choose how we want to be, which is so empowering when you feel that, like, wow, this is your life right now. I catch myself saying that to myself and to many of my beings I get to work with. And I'm saying it to you. This is your life right now. It isn't when you retire. It isn't when you get all your shit together. It isn't when you stop worrying. Yeah, I don't know. So, right, the present moment is what we have. And so I want to encourage us to come together, to support one another, to say, oh, this too shall pass.
One of my favorite sayings.
And I have a ring that says that. And not to wish time away, is just knowing that I have a choice in that moment, that if a wave that is stressful, right? It's our perception of it, right? Because something stressful to one person is like a piece of cake to another. Depends on who's seeing it and who's experiencing it with your past, right? Looking at the past a little bit, you came with your own lens. So what we're asking you to do is take a look at how you're looking at your life right now and your moments. And we can help you, not because it's bad. It's not saying that's feel better when you feel the stress and feel overwhelmed. Like when Scott was saying, like the political background, when we first started talking about how can we come together to help people with our skill set and support and have this growing community when the world's a little dark in many places. And this underlying, not only the moments of stress and worry just up front, but there's this background, the political background worry and stress. And I know for many people, financial and jobs and all that stuff is shifting. We're going through an amazing transformation of change. We can look at it as this, or we can look at it as this. And I want to look at it as this, and us coming together to help each other reframe, help us notice where we're at and how we can choose and be that wave.
This isn't meant to discount pain or the things we're going through, because sometimes it could be so dark that we're not trying to say positive thinking.
Yeah, please.
That's not what that is not what we're talking about. There has been, in my own life, there has been some very traumatic events that have occurred, like many people's lives. I'm no different than anyone else. And I think that those trigger events can keep you stuck in worry, fear. Nothing will ever be the same. Why should I try? Those kind of phrases. I think it comes back down to this belief that things are guiding me through what doesn't feel good right now to something better. And I need to just keep finding that path. And for me personally, that has always worked. As I'm a very feeling person, so I feel all those bad things. But because I'm a feeling person, I don't want to feel that all the time. I want to be happy and light, and humor is a huge part of my life. And so I'm always kind of trying to look at worry as a way to trigger me away from something that isn't good for me. And that's my technique. Maybe yours will be different. I guess my main statement is this isn't us saying, come on, you can be happier.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need help. And one of the things Melissa said about as far as tools that she didn't mention that I want to mention is that we have each other to talk to. You have someone to talk to. We have others to talk to. We have our clients. I learned so much from coaching with my clients that helps me deal with my own worry and stress. So tribe community is more important now than it ever has been with the separation of my phone's not here. I'm pointing to my phone because it's so used to having it right here in my hands. Those are another trigger that's isolating us that makes us feel more worried or less than. And so find your people, find your tribe, hire a coach, see your therapist, get a counselor. That is also very important. Yeah, come on retreats. We can help you. This is one of the things we're going to be talking about, actually.
Right.
So I think that it's important to recognize that tribe is a very important part of this. And talking about it. I think it's changing, but my parents' generation, you need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
You need to talk about shit. Quiet. Stuff it down. Don't let it come up. Be quiet. Don't show any weakness. And that led to more worry because you didn't have a way to
help the body process. Right?
Help the body and the mind process.
So, foundationally, I like what you said, frequency, grounding. We did talk before we started, we could offer many tools. And in that moment, sometimes it's really hard to apply those, but we want to encourage you that first, hang out. Like the question I asked earlier is, what happens for you when you worry? Where did it come from? Don't have to overanalyze it. We're not trying to rehash it or whatever. Just bring it up a bit to see okay, I'm finding myself getting stressed. My body's getting tense. I'm getting headaches. Physical body will give you signals.
Yeah, notice.
Notice. We're asking you just to notice. Part of our journey with you and all of the people we get to meet with is to heighten the awareness. When you become aware and you join with your body, healing can happen. And so we want you to notice. And then the offering we want to, just like Scott said, is move your body and get in nature and grounding and those type of things that help when we think, oh, I just don't have time. Right. I'm going to tell you, I make my son, when my son's stressing a bit, I'm like, come outside with me, come stand in the backyard, come stand in the sun for a moment. And he does it kind of dragging his feet, but I make him do it because granted, I'm not coaching him in that moment. I'm being a mother and pulling the mother card, but I just want, he'll get the effects of it. So even if you're struggling in the midst of some pretty deep stress right now or worry, if all you can do is go outside and feel the sun on your face, I kid you not, just do it. That alone will start to alter that frequency and access a breath, access a shift. And then just keep listening to us and we'll be there with you
We have a lot more tools we're not going to get into today, but right. I do want to touch a little more on nature because it was on my list as well of one of the most powerful things on the planet.
When stress and worry hit, all the time.
Yes, all the time, but especially when stress and worry hit. I know that last year when I went through something, that's the first thing I did was I went out into the trees every day. And honestly, it started a great practice for me on a daily basis to be out and be grounded. I also suggest you get your shoes off, put your feet on the earth. We are electrical beings. All of our firing is electrical. The earth is electrical. Reconnecting with that is really important. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We get in our cars in our garage with rubber shoes on. Yeah. We go to work on the concrete and get up and go to the office or go into our building and we get back in the car and come home again. We're not touching the earth enough. So if you can lay on the earth and sit in the sun, sit in the rain, just be outside, that will allow you to process emotions. And processing emotions allows your thinking brain to come back into play. Because feelings buried alive never die. And if you're worried, you're maybe trying to bury those, but you got to get those out. And trees, nature is a super easy way to do that organically without the use of any kind of pills. Mm-hmm. And then let's talk a little bit before we go about behaviors that come from worry that are not helpful. Overeating, anger. When I was younger, anger was my thing, lashing out. What are some other ones?
Well, I like when you said like the overeating, that kind of stuff, you go to the throat chakra. Oftentimes, if we're feeling so stressed and not being able to maybe voice our needs or even understand our needs, that desire to overeat isn't just you being gluttonous or anything like that. You're actually trying to soothe that frequency. So people that, Encore, and so overeating, drinking, binge watching to kind of numb out. An individual that, one of my sweet beings, we've talked about, now this on the outside sounds all good, right? I'm going to have my coffee with my book. But we started to realize that was beginning to be utilized as avoidance. So learning that is a good thing to do to nourish them when they brought intention to it, but realized they were escaping into that more and more frequently to try to numb out and forget all of the stuff. And so we honored that. And just by that awareness alone, we started to shift and access some other habits. Doesn't mean they're not going to go back to that cup of coffee and book on occasion, but it's not going to start to override. So there could be some positive
the avoidance,
things. Right. But I see a lot with the TV and the scrolling, right? That's a big one for people because they can just kind of, you shut out like that little dopamine high that you can get from just looking through. I know I like to send people, memes, videos, but that's another way to kind of like, it's like, okay, am I handling some stress here that I didn't realize? Is there a way that if I find myself scrolling a whole bunch, can I go pause and stand outside and scroll? Sorry. Not that I want you to do that, but if we have to, that could be a stepping stone.
Yeah.
But super seriously. So I'm thinking, what else?
Well, you talk about eating, and I had an epiphany this past few years where I stress eat, and it was kind of shocking because I'm pretty fit and take care of myself and eat well, but I noticed a pattern that I'll have an extra couple of tacos if I'm more stressed. I love tacos, by the way. I eat tacos all the time.
You say that He said that in another episode.
Yeah, I did. And I think that it's just an important thing to notice that if you are not an overeater or you don't have, body issues, you can still have these behaviors.
Right. Because your body's trying to find some balance.
Some comfort.
Right.
And I love food. And so that's how I was trying to comfort and quiet down my worries and stress. Yeah.
So I want to say what Scott's bringing up by talking about is asking you. We turn around and ask you the question, what do you do? What comes up that tends to, if we bring awareness, I'm going to come back to the A word. If we bring awareness to it, the next time you go to start binge watching something or overeating something or taking the bag of chips to the couch versus just putting a little pile on your plate, there's that, am I stressed? Maybe not, but that's where the awareness lies, where we can start to access like, okay, it's a lot easier to go binge watch Netflix than it is to walk down my hall and go into my other little yoga room and breathe and do some grounding and leg work. At the same time, I know that I'll feel so much better if I do. So that's part of our support to you. And it's not accountability like you should do this, you should do it. And you're like, I know I should. It's like, no, we're letting go of that. We're just honoring the body is trying to feel better. It's trying to balance itself. And in this culture, we have a lot of things around us telling you, oh, do this and you'll feel better. Eat this and you'll feel better. And so we grab onto that because we're so busy often and stressed with life that we listen to those things because it's a little ounce of hope. It's like, oh, maybe I'll feel better if I eat
and it's easy.
those. Easy. Yeah.
It's easy.
So we want to help you. And that's part of, I guess I'm going to lead it to our retreat is when we decided we both have our own practices, right? And we're coming together to bring you this because we saw the need.
This meaning Vital Edge Wellness Coaching for our listeners.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Vital Edge. Sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. I know a lot of you just listen because you're in commute here. In order to help us be able to have a little awareness, we have to step out of what we have created that has the patterns. A lot of times our lifestyles and where we've been or we live is where a lot of our problems and worries have developed. So it doesn't mean it's not a sacred space for you, but it's helpful to get out of that space and clear the mind, get some awareness. And then we decided we're going to create this time where we go on retreats and help people to go enjoy a place, nature, to reconnect with our roots. And in between, have the support to reestablish that ground in your home, to reestablish that sacred space. So that's coming up. We have our September 11th to 15th, Chianalani, we're going on a retreat. We do have a couple more spots. All of our rooms that we reserved are taken or reserved, but the resort, we checked with them and if they have the availability, we could add a couple more. So they've got 4 spaces that we can potentially add. So if you're interested in coming and hanging out with us to change this frequency and observe and become aware, and then please reach out. And it's info@vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. Link will be down in there so you can click it later if you're driving or something. But please email us and we'll check on that for you. If you go to the website, it does say everything's full, but there's a note at the top that says reach out to us. And with that, know that the retreat is not just us saying, oh, come to the retreat. We have a plan and the support's in place between our retreats to help you implement and support you in continuing to get to know yourself in this way and take care of yourself in a new way.
We're hoping we can help you break your patterns and create more self-awareness. I'd like to recommend a couple of books for you. We're both Eckhart Tolle fans, and The Power of Now is a fantastic exercise in being present in this moment. So you recognize when you're worried, when you're not worried, when you're stressed, recognizing what you'd like to change in that power, in that moment of now. And my personal favorite is A New Earth, which is a new way of being and thinking. It's not really new, but it's more ancestor focused kind of a philosophy. So I highly recommend those if you need something to help you on this journey of breaking old patterns of worry. And I'll just close us out by saying it really comes down to listening to your inner self, and that's your capital F self. There is this voice that gets drowned out in this busy world. We're in our heads a lot. We're not in our bodies. We're not in our souls and our guts. But there is this soul voice that knows the patterns and it knows the journey. And it's not affected by these things we've been talking about of the outside world and busyness and what other people think of us and such. It is drowned out though. And so allowing that to rise up will give you a better chance at living a less stressed and worried life. So that's where I think we'll leave it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that was good.
All right. More to come. This stress and worry is going to be a continual touchstone topic in our podcast with our guests. And so stay tuned for more. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Rise and Thrive. And take care of each other. And don't forget to take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.
And I'd encourage you, if you have any requests or anything about you want to talk about specifically about stress or worry, pop it in the notes below and we'll take a look and we'll get back to you. So thank you. Namaste.
Thanks for tuning in to Rise and Thrive, a podcast by Vital Edge Wellness Coaching. If you found this episode meaningful, please rate, review, and share it with someone who might need it. For upcoming retreats and to join the Vital Edge Wellness community, head to vitaledgewellnesscoaching.com. Let's rise and thrive together.